well, I bought a couple radios from eBay. For the most part, I've been pretty pleased. You know, I got this Radio Shack scanner, but come to find out that it doesn't receive 400s. I bought this from Radio Porium, Radio Optimum, and it has a little bit of issues with squelch, but seems to function well, well enough that it really doesn't affect the performance. And then I ordered another one, the Baofang DMR version, and it works to be expected. I mean, it too, it has poor reception. I don't know if it's the antenna that they provided because it's not the original Baofang antenna, or what happened, but it just doesn't receive very well, cuts in and out and all that. But the transmitter seems to function quite well, and I can't figure out what's going on with DMR, and you know, they treat me as I'm stupid, and I call it double talking. You know, you say one thing, but then you contradict it and say something else, and then you say, well, it's a Baofang issue. Well, you know, I had argued with them before in the past about another radio. Come to find out, the guy has an email address, and I believe he's on YouTube, and he's a ham operator, and basically what he's doing is he has this eBay thing, and I think what he's doing is he's selling his radios, whatever he does to them, he screws them up or something, and then he tries to put them back to original state and then sell it to some unsuspecting person as such as myself. So, you know, they say, well, Craftsman, you didn't do this right, and you didn't use a driver, and you got to hook it up to a computer, and everybody's got 50 billion solutions to the answer, but the one answer that I was looking for, they refused and beat around the bush, is that they advertise these DMR radios as such that they are compatible with Motorola, and you know, and it's completely false, because the only thing that it does is allows two of the same radios, whether it's a Baofang or a TYT or any of those. What it does is that it will only talk to a radio similar to it or just like it. So is it Motorola compatible? Absolutely not. And these people are selling them under the pretense that it's Motorola Tier 1, Tier 2, and they pawn it off as me. It's because, you know, I'm not a ham operator, and I'm not skilled, I don't have a license, or whatever they want to say, and then this is what we're left with. Well, all I wanted to do was log on to a repeater with call groups so I can listen, and it won't do that. You can't do that. It's locked out. It's locked out from the keypad. I don't know. I guess you have to go in on the programming and write a string of code, because it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. Even if you took the programming software and you programmed the radio and you put in all your channels and all your color codes and your frequencies and your shift key and your offset and cross tones so you can hit the repeater and all this other stuff, it's still not compatible with Motorola. And they put it off as it's compatible with Motorola, and I'm wrong and everybody else is right. And that's what it boils down to. Well, you know what? Screw it. You're sitting there pawning off a radio that has nothing to do with nothing, and you're basically selling me some junk that you wrote code for, and it did something to the radio. It's locked out. It doesn't even talk on MERS. And here I am. oh, well, Craftsman's a dummy, and he doesn't know this, and he doesn't know that, and you got to have this code, and you got to have the code plug, and then you have to have the plug, but you have to code the plug for the plug to work to the radio, and then the radio doesn't pick the fucking code. So what you have to do is you have to put this number in here, and you have to cross this, and then you have to drag this, and then you have to save this, and you have to write code for this, and you have to do this, this, and this, and none of it works. None of it. But it's my fault because I'm too ignorant to write a string of code that allows it to talk and receive Motorola. And every single buddy that has a video on these radios conveniently forgets to put that in there, because they always have two of the same radio. If I was to take this radio and try to DMR to this, or have it DMR to a digital scanner, it will not go through. The chipset in the radio is from across seas. It's set up for their DMR, not the United States' DMR. Whether it's tier 1, tier 2, Moto, this, that, and this and that, they have the same thing in the UK. They have the same thing in China. But here's the kicker. It's not compatible with US versions. So my guess is that the guy that had it before was a ham operator. He took and tried to get it to get on the Moto like I am. Wrote code. And then conveniently forgets the cord. There was no disk, no frequency writing disk. There was no plug. And then once you had that, you had to have a code plug. And then you had to have you have to have the hardware as the disk, and then you have to have the softwares, which was on the disk. And in the meantime, you're sitting there and you're doing all this stuff. But in reality, it still will not communicate with Moto Turbo. Period. And to be honest, I don't even care about the transmitting part. Well, once you get it talking to the computer, what you have to do is you take and you have to fill out this registration form. Once you do that, and you put in your call sign and whatever, then apparently the software will issue the radio a user ID. This is probably the step that I'm missing, and nobody can tell you this, but I am. Once you do that, it probably the program probably writes and gives your radio a ID, and it probably links to location based upon telemetry from the repeaters. Okay, because DMR can pick out your radio wherever it is and run a GPS on it. I mean, that's how they keep tabs on where the officers' cars are sitting and all that crap, you know. So I'm sure that has everything to do with it. And maybe once you get to that far and it gives you an ID, then maybe it will unlock the radio so you can further pursue the programming of the radio. Well, if you're not willing to do that, then it's simply a simplex radio, useless for DMR Motorola, and will only talk to another radio just like it on mirrors frequencies only. Simplex. That's it. Other than that, it's a great radio, performs well, a little shitty on the receive, but hey, what do you get? This is what you get for the price you pay. It's a good radio. That's the way I feel about it. Would I buy another one? You bet. Would I expect DMR? No.